Welcome everybody to another edition of Review Please Video Game Edition, where today I myself, Elias, I almost called myself Jesus, and my co-host Jesus will be discussing the video game Lies of P. Jesus, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Tired. I'm always tired though. I took a nap earlier today. Sorry, this is not about Lies of P. This is nothing related to Lies of P. I took a nap earlier. I woke up with man, I just hate this. I woke up feeling groggy and having the worst headache ever. Like, I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
Yeah.
why do I take naps in the afternoon? It always makes me feel like crap afterwards. But man, it's like my body's just tired. It needs to sleep. But then I feel bad afterwards. I don't know if that happens to you, but it drives me insane.
It definitely drives me insane. I take naps occasionally, but sometimes, I'll randomly through the day, I'll get a migraine or a headache sometimes, and it's just unbearable, and I hate them. And it's a lot. And then sometimes I'll occasionally take a nap, and then I wake up, but I wake up feeling even more tired because I didn't get like a good amount of sleep, you know?
Yeah.
And it's I'm just like, I'm putting myself through hell, kind of like Lies of P. You're putting yourself through hell playing this video game.
Yeah.
But that brings it back to basically today we're going to discuss for the month of December, we're reviewing and discussing Lies of P. It's a video game developed by NeoWiz Games and Round 8 Studio, published by NeoWiz Games. It's a Souls-like game, which in a second I'll get into the synopsis of it, which is basically the overall what the game is about. And so this is definitely a game not for the faint of heart, I will say. If you're not into Souls-like games, you will not like this game. But I will say that it does something better that I think does something better than Elden Ring or Demon Souls games do, which we'll get into here in a little bit. But before we go into the synopsis or anything about it, I know, Jesus, you said earlier before the podcast you don't have a lot to say about it, but what are your overall just top level thoughts about Lies of P? I'm pretty sure I know you have little to say about the gameplay, but overall, what do you think about like the story? If you did progress to it or maybe watch someone play through it, what did you think about the game just overall in general?
So overall, my feelings for it kind of reflect how I felt about Elden Ring. Just not a game for me. It's not while I appreciate what Lies of P is doing, and I am interested in the world. The barrier for me is the gameplay. I'm just not into that gameplay, that style of game, the Souls-like style of games. I think I played about 10 to 12-ish hours around there, and at a point I was just like, you know what, I'm done. Like, I'm not having fun. And if I'm not having fun, what's the point of keep playing? Which is why I say I don't really have much to say, because honestly, I stopped playing like maybe a month ago, so like my memory for it is like gone. So I don't quite remember where I got to, but I got to some boss. I think it was like the third, fourth boss that you meet along the way. I can't remember what it was, but it was like I was just having such a hard time beating them that I was just like, you know what? I'm not having fun. I'm tired of this, just beating my head against the wall. I tried for like an hour and it just wasn't happening. And I was like, I don't have patience for this. I don't want to just keep getting mad. So I stopped playing. But with that said, I am interested in the world. I do like the world. I appreciate the fact that there is a story to Lies of P that's or I should say there's a more obvious story to Lies of P compared to like Elden Ring or Demon Soul, Souls, like whatever, the Dark Souls, Demon Soul, whatever. Like this does have a slightly more obvious story. I think it still suffers from just a lack of urgency in the story for your character. I think there's still not a lot of strong characters or reasons to care about the characters that you meet. But I do appreciate them trying to integrate a little bit more of a story into it. And I do like the aesthetic of the game. The game is beautiful. Like, I just enjoy that little steampunk, robot punk, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's like a steampunky sort of world. Like I appreciate that aspect, and I do like that aesthetic. So I think the design of the world, the visualization of Pinocchio, right? What is his name?
Yeah, yeah. His name is Pinocchio. It's
Okay.
Pinocchio, but they
Um,
just P for short.
yeah. And I thought it was like Felipe or something.
Philly-
That's what P
That's
stands for.
hilarious.
It's for Felipe. Uh,
Felipe. Oh my god.
uh, but like I do like the design of the character and the way like he can look depending on like what you put on him and stuff like that. Like I just
Mm,
like the design of the world and the creatures that you meet, the robot-esque creatures that you meet, and the like different look of the bosses and stuff. But yeah, like so I do like the world, the design of everything. Um
mhm.
and it's really weird because like I put 40 hours into Elden Ring, and
Okay.
I like I've made my stance clear that I absolutely hate Elden Ring. But I kept
Yeah.
playing Elden Ring because it was an open world and I was interested in exploring and seeing things. Lies of P though, the reason I stopped at like the 10 to 12 hour range is because it's kind of linear in its design. There's not really
Yeah.
an openness. It doesn't really encourage you to explore because there's not really much to explore in the world. And so
Mhm.
I feel like that's where it lost me. There wasn't a lot for me to explore, and I didn't really care about the story of that I was trying to follow along with, and then the boss fights were just preventing me from going forward. So like, yeah, like even though I feel like my experience with Lies of P is the same as Elden Ring in terms of like how I ultimately feel,
Mhm.
um there is a marked difference in like how much time I played in both of those games, which is kind of weird for me
Interesting.
when I think about
Yeah.
this. But yeah, overall though, Lies of P, I think it's a fine game. I think people who like Souls-like games are gonna love this game. Like,
Yeah.
this is a really good Souls-like game without it being developed by From Software. So,
Yeah.
and I think that was like the common consensus when it came out too. Like, because we're
Yeah.
reviewing this late. Let's like that. We forgot to
Yeah.
mention that we're
Exactly.
reviewing this. This came
Yeah.
out back at the end of September.
Yep.
It's December now. It's December, whatever day this is releasing in December. We're recording as
Yeah.
at the time of the recording. This it's the 16th of
Yeah.
December. But like, so we're late to the party here. But like, the common thing was
Mhm.
like, this is a good Souls-like game, not developed by FromSoft, and I completely agree. Like, again, I wish I could like these kinds of games. I wish they had the things I look for in a game. They just don't, and
Mhm.
that's fine. Like, not all games are going to
Yeah.
be for everyone, you know. Um,
Yeah.
which is again, that's fine. Like, there's nothing to it. And like, I joke and say I hate Elden Ring. I'm gonna probably joke and say I hate Lies of P. I've already been doing that with you off stream, where I was just like, I fucking
Yeah.
hate this game. Like, I don't actually hate this game at all. I appreciate it for what it's doing. It's just not for me. And this is not a game that I'm ever gonna play again. It's honestly not a game that I'm gonna ever think about again, unless there's like DLC and we talk about the DLC. Because like, I
Yeah.
just have no interest in ever doing this again.
Yeah.
Like, I just not going to sit through this again. It goes back to like with Starfield, our Starfield review. I mentioned like I will keep playing Starfield because like I am interested in exploring and just living in that world. There's nothing with Lies of P that makes me want to come back to it. So yeah,
I get that. That
that's
makes
that's
sense.
my
Yeah.
that's my review.
Nice. I get that. It's interesting. My top level thoughts on Lies of P is initially I went into this. I really did. I don't like Dark Souls game, Demon Souls, or even Elden Ring all that much
Mhm.
because, excuse me, it's just there's something a combination of just like those feeling kind of like they don't have a story, which we've talked about countless times before. Of
Yeah.
just like it just feels like it's a big world and it's saying go explore, go create your own adventure, which is cool in a way, but for me, it just doesn't connect with me. What I do think that I mentioned earlier that I think Lies of P gets great is that I think it has this. It doesn't have that open world that Elden Ring or Dark Souls like games have, but it has like kind of like this little bubble of a world of like, hey, this is like those games, but except it's a story, and you have to follow this linear path to make it from the beginning to the end.
Mhm.
And I enjoyed that a whole lot more. So I went into this game not knowing what to expect. To be honest, I told myself I was like, I probably am only going to play maybe a couple hours and I'll be done with this game.
Mhm.
And so initially I played. I don't know why I didn't ask you this. When you did play, do you know which type of build you focused on, whether it was like power or technique?
I did technique. I was putting points in technique and stuff. So
Okay. So, um, So I initially was doing more of a excuse me. I was doing more of a like trying to be very quick, just go in, just not really too much powerful or too much technique, and I hated it. I did not like it. It was
Mhm.
not fun. And so then I said, you know what? I'm restarting over and I'm going to go into power and just focus on like being very powerful. So I did that, and that made the game a whole lot more enjoyable for me. Just having so much power, because it almost in a way made it slightly easy mode in a way for me.
Maybe I
And
should do that.
just yeah, just maybe like doing that, because initially all I did in the beginning was I put a lot of points in technique and of course vitality and vigor. I didn't focus on any of the element stuff or anything like that.
Mhm.
Um Occasionally I did some of the stuff for like the weight of, like, certain weapons are heavier than others. And so I put a couple points in there, but mostly power. That was what my focus was. And so that made the game so much more enjoyable, to where I actually got to the end of the game. I actually haven't beat it yet, but I'm at the very end of the game, and I've just enjoyed it so much more. And because I think me doing that allowed me to actually enjoy the story of the game,
Mhm.
where I paid attention. Which I have some gripes about the story too, as well as I played through, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But I went into the game, I'll say that, not really enjoying Souls-like games, but I enjoyed this one,
Mhm.
um, because I think it gave you something to care about. To try, it gave you like kind of like a mystery to figure out what's going on in the world of Krat,
Yeah.
and like what's
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
on with these puppets and stuff like that. And so that made it interesting. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
They
made
had
it
the
to the end.
carrot in front of you, and they made you want to chase after that carrot. So
Exactly, exactly. So that's um my initial thoughts, where I overall enjoyed the game. There are a couple of things that I think could have been stronger, which we'll get to here in a second.
mhm.
But before we do, let me touch on the synopsis of the plot for this game for those. As a reminder, guys, whenever we do review these games, we're reviewing games on Xbox Game Pass. So if you have
Mhm.
that, grab that. If not, go. It's a bunch of great games on there. So,
Before you go
uh,
on,
oh
can
yeah,
you make
uh
sure that
huh,
anytime the name Pinocchio or P comes up, please say Felipe,
Felipe,
because
gotcha.
that's how we're gonna refer to when he's not
All
Pinocchio, he's
right.
not P, he's just Felipe from this point on. Okay.
Okay. So the setting of Lies of P here, um, it's inspired by Carlo Collodi's novel *The Adventures of Pinocchio*,
Nope, Felipe.
or I should say, *Adventures of Felipe*. Sorry, Lies of Felipe* tells the story of Felipe, a robotic puppet who differs from other puppets in his ability to lie, which plays a role during important story decisions. Puppets were invented in the city of Krat thanks to the discovery of a revolutionary power source called Ergo underneath it. Puppets soon become ubiquitous throughout the city, performing menial labor for the populace. Foremost among puppet inventors is both Lorenzi Vanini and the legendary Geppetto, who created Pinocchio. In order to ensure that
Felipe.
puppets would not be Oh yeah, sorry, shit, Felipe. In order to ensure that puppets would not be a threat, they were bound to the ground, or excuse me, they were bound to the Grand Covenant, which forbids them from lying or attacking humans. However, of course, despite this, one day they revolt and slaughter most of Krat's human population. Puppets have their own language, which consists of blurred English text which is visible during boss fights against enemy puppets. And it also, excuse me, Krat also suffers from this mysterious and incurable petrification disease, which binds its victims before petrifying and killing them, and it mutates them into monsters. And so, that's just a little bit of, basically, it's your Pinocchio. You're brought to life by the character. What's her name? I apologize. Oh, the character Sophia,
Yeah.
and she is an alchemist
He
who
talked to you.
exactly, she can talk to you, and she wakes you up to kind of help and figure out what's going on in the city of Kraut, why these puppets have turned, and also what's going on with this incurable disease, this petrification disease. And excuse me, you play as Felipe, who his job is to basically save Geppetto, save the city, fight these puppets, and get to the end to see like what's going on in Kraut. Now, I wanted to touch a little bit on the story, which I think that this story initially is like, it does a great job. I think personally of like, okay, so because you don't really find out about the petrification disease until later, because initially you're just like, the world looks beautiful, the puppets look cool, And you're like, huh, like what's going on? Why did these puppets turn? Because everyone is like initially like really nice, and there are some puppets who kind of are of their own mind, and they have their own ability to kind of ignore this thing of like the other puppets are killing humans,
Mm-hmm.
and like Pinocchio didn't succumb to it. There's a robot in the hotel that you at Hotel Krat that you stay at. He's a butler to Antonia, who's
Mm-hmm.
the owner of it. This woman, he hasn't succumbed to this disease or anything that'll make him flip. Excuse me. And so it's you trying to figure it out. And I think that Lies of P does a really good job of this, of like just allowing you to somewhat explore in these little parts. And it's really cool, just like trying to figure everything out. Now, this is my gripe with the story a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
where I think it did a great attempt at trying to give you something to like pursue and go after,
Mm-hmm.
but there were still moments where I kind of story beats that I think didn't connect as well. Like for example, like when they introduced the petrification disease, which is like these kind of like acidy, ghouly little monsters.
Yeah.
Like at first, I was like, "What's happening?" Like I was like, I thought we were dealing with these puppets. You could
Yeah.
it introduces these alchemists and stuff, and like I'm like, okay, I mean, why are we bringing this in? But I guess it makes sense. But it didn't really feel as like strong of a story beat to me,
Mm-hmm.
because there's this one fight that you have with who is it? I can't remember who the mini boss is or the boss is, but there's this one fight where you get introduced to the main villain of the overall thing. His name is, let me see if I can find his name. What's his name?
It's the doofus.
Yeah. He's an alchemist who basically he's the one he's kind of decided, it seemed very Resident Evil-y, where he's
Yeah.
basically like the infection is the future.
Yeah.
This is the future, the humans are evolving, this will be best or whatever, and puppets need to evolve as well. And it felt very Resident Evil, like 4, like just very Resident Evil.
Yeah.
And I was like, why do I get that I'm supposed to care about this, but it kind of felt like it came out of nowhere. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, like
The name
this
you were
is
looking for
alright.
too, by the way, is Simon Manus.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a very villain-like name, Simon Manus.
I'm
But-
Simon Manus. It's a pleasure to meet you, Leon. I mean, Felipe. Sorry, I thought I was in Resident Evil for a second.
Exactly.
No, I got up to him, like I met him, and then I was like, I'm done. I don't like this dude. That's basically what
Yeah.
happened for me. But-
And I guess maybe it also had to do with, I don't want to knock on the voice actors, but the way he was performing it, I was like, man, this seems like something out of Resident Evil. Very
Okay.
like,
So I'm gonna be honest, dude.
uh-huh.
And this is my feelings for like Elden Ring and Souls-like games as well. The voice acting is awful. Like, there's no good voice
Yeah.
actors in any of these games, and Elden Ring included. Like, the voice acting is awful. Let's just get that out of the way.
Yeah.
It's fine, whatever. Because like I guess they're, I don't know, but the voice acting, I'm just gonna say that it's awful. Like any of the characters that actually talk to you and stuff, they're awful. So there we go.
Yeah.
At least in my experience with how much I played and the people I met, I was just like, that was another thing that kind of put me off and making me not really care about the characters, because like the voice acting just wasn't good.
Yeah. I'd say, yeah, because there were certain, because Felipe, as you play, he doesn't have voice or anything like that. He kind of is just like emoting or something. He'll
Yeah, he
randomly be
emotes.
like, and stuff
Yeah,
like
he'll
that. So
nod.
nobody voices him. But what made me laugh when I kind of got the inclination initially of like, oh, the voice actors, I probably won't connect with them, was when you saved Geppetto from this group. There's this guy, Donkey Mask guy. I forgot his name, but he's known as Donkey something. And you save him, and Geppetto, the way that he answers, he's like, "My boy, my son," and I was like, okay, but hey, if you enjoyed them, kudos to hey, more power to you. I was just kind of pulled out. I was like, you sound very dramatic right now.
Yeah.
But anyway,
It was
But-
is I think that's the other thing, and man, I feel like everybody, like the voice acting note for everybody was like, be serious. That's all it was
Yeah.
for everybody. And then some people, it's just like, I think that was just the one note for everybody. Just be serious. And
Yeah.
it was almost cartoony. Like, I mean, I wouldn't say it was almost cartoony. It was just cartoony to the point that it was just like, this
Exactly.
is weird, guys.
I
I'd
will.
rather just read text at this point.
I will say there was um one character that I enjoyed a lot, and I thought he was really cool. And I actually thought his voice acting was okay. It was I think if you've made it to the Simon Simone guy,
Yeah.
it was the treasure hunter dog guy.
Oh yeah.
Villa. He was cool.
Uh-huh.
Villadoni, I think. He was cool. Actually, I was like, I was like, I actually like this character. He's pretty cool. And so, because like, there's like these group of like treasure hunters and stuff like that. Throughout the game, they offer you like
Yeah, they give
rare
you.
treasure and stuff for a certain
You
ergo that's
talking
like
about
really rare.
Alidoro?
Oh yeah, Alidoro, the canine.
Yeah.
Sorry, Alidoro.
Yeah.
Alidoro, yeah, I liked him. I thought he was pretty cool. But there's also like he's a part of the group where he knows of there's also that fox woman, and then the
Hmm.
guy who's like, I didn't like the fox woman as much because she talked very like, "Hi there, partner."
Oh yeah.
Like,
She was trying to. This is a weird one where it's trying to like. It's not trying to be sexy, right?
Mhm.
And it's
Yeah.
again, the note was just be sexy. And
Yeah. And like she was
it's,
very like, yeah, she was like very soft and very like, ooh, like, talk like that. And I was just like,
it
you
felt
can talk
very
like that.
it
Well,
felt very anime in a lot of ways,
yeah,
I will say. Yeah.
I'd say yeah. So the voice acting kind of pulled you out. And that might not be make or break for some people, but I know
Right.
for me, occasionally it pulled me out, and I was
Yeah.
just like,
It it
but
annoyed me more than anything. I was just like, come on, guys. But again, it's like
it,
it's already annoying me for other reasons, and that just was like
yeah,
it's like for me, like a lot of like Lies of P is just like the minor annoyances just building up to just being like, okay, I don't want to play this anymore. With like the big
that's
annoyance
so
being like
funny.
I just can't get into the gameplay. And like I wouldn't
Yeah.
even say like not getting into the gameplay for me is an annoyance. It's more of a just like, yeah, this is not a type of game for me. So it was
Yeah.
not being the type of game for me, and then minor annoyances, because like one of the things that I don't really like either for the game
Hmm.
is the general like uh man, I it felt like there was a lot of like, and this is a design thing, and like
Hmm.
I don't want to critique design things because I don't want to. I hate the critiquing design things because it feels a little weird for me to do that because like I'm not an artist and I don't know what goes into it.
Yeah.
But there was like a lot of dead ends that lead to nothing, and that annoyed
Yeah.
the hell out of
Yeah.
me. Where I was like, what was the point of making this little alleyway? There's nothing here. What is the point of this? And
Yeah.
it pissed me off for some reason. Like I would get to I'd be like, what? Why is this here? In hindsight too, this is a problem I have with a lot of games too. When I have to go down like
Mhm.
when there's like a dead end, I'm just like, why even have a dead end? Like, what's the point of this? Why are you
Yeah.
trying to make a maze out of this? Please stop.
Yeah.
Like this
It's
might be a little annoying thing. It's just like navigating the world felt a little tiresome at times for me.
yeah.
Like as
I
much as
I
I
get that.
liked the world, the level design wasn't always there for me. Like it just
Yeah.
because this is a more linear thing. It's like
Uh-huh.
you don't have to build dead ends that have absolutely nothing there. That like there's like
It's
not even an
worth
enemy
going
there,
down.
or they're like there's not
Yeah.
even an item to pick up or anything. It's just oh yeah,
Yeah.
there's nothing here. You can look at the freaking buildings. You can look at the
Yeah.
trees and the swamp and all this other crap. It's like whatever, dude. Like why, why are you here?
No,
Ugh.
I get that. Yeah, because there were plenty of times in the beginning, I would try to go the dead ends, and like it. Usually, I'd make it to the end, and occasionally there'd be an item, and I always felt like, oh, it wasn't really worth to go
Yeah,
down
and
here
like
just to get
that's the thing.
this
If there is an
thing.
item, it's never worth it, or it's
Yeah.
rarely worth it, unless you
Hmm.
absolutely need. Oh man, I need another health potion, or oh man,
Yeah.
I need this. What the hell are they called?
This weapon, or I need like this, kind of cure thing or whatever.
Yeah, like the weird extra items. Uh, that's the thing too. I never used any of the extra items they gave you that
So
you just found.
yeah, I'm glad you bring this up because I will say that the gameplay of this Now, granted, this could also be because I know this. I don't really play much like Souls-like games, so maybe I just
Hmm.
don't have the foresight to kind of look into it. But there was a lot of items I did not use. I
Yeah.
just did not use at all. Like it almost felt like it just took up space.
Yeah, that's how I
Um,
felt too. Like I was just
yeah,
picking up items and I was just like, I don't even know what this is fucking for. Like, whatever. Oh,
exactly. And
this item heals me. Okay, that's all I need to know. What is these other things? And I'm sure that just means we're playing the game wrong. Probably. I'm sure if like we go watch like
probably,
people play Lies of P, that like the super advanced people that they're like using these items, tossing them on the ground. Like I'm sure like
yeah,
some of them are like bombs and stuff like that that you can throw and like
yeah.
explode and like fire things and all that. No, I never use them really. I just
N- Yeah, the most that I used, which was later in the game,
mhm.
like there's a an immediate repair toolkit, which
Yeah.
some with this game, you have to kind of grind your weapon as it goes down in
Yeah, you have to do the grinding. Ugh, That I hated that
yeah.
mechanic. I'm gonna be honest. It was annoying. I fucking hated it. So, anyways,
I felt like I kind of felt like it was all right, but I guess for me I kind of felt like it was there to kind of like pace the fighting,
yeah,
versus like just doing it. It was kind of like, all right, take a break,
yeah,
repair your weapon, and then get back into it. But there were some moments that I hated that because it's not till later in the game. But when you get like even more later, I guess maybe with my build, I didn't necessarily need to do it all the time just because I was so strong. But then as you go into like chapter 9 and
hmm
on, the game gets just dramatically harder, and then like the enemies you're fighting just cause you to kind of like wear your weapon down even more. And I was just like, oh,
yeah,
this is tough because you have to time your repairs, and that made it very annoying.
yeah.
Which I was just like, I hate this.
Yeah, I mean, it's like again, I'm sure people out there love this gameplay and stuff.
Hmm.
For me, it's just like another layer that just prevents me from really enjoying because like I'm already struggling with like the dodging and stuff and timing my attacks out.
Yeah.
I don't need this extra thing of like, oh shit, I have to repair this in the middle of battle, but I have to do it at a certain time so I don't fucking die. And like again, it's just not gameplay for me. Like man,
Yeah.
like I want to like Lies of P so bad because I like
Hmm.
everything about it's so cool. It's just it's
Yeah.
ultimately the gameplay for me that just makes it very, very hard. And that's just the nature of Souls like, and that's probably why I'm never going to like the closest to Souls like I can get is like God of War and Star Wars, Jedi Survivor, Fallen Order,
Gotcha.
all that. And like those aren't even
Hmm.
like Souls like games. It's just like it just helps if you dodge. And then you
Yeah.
can always turn it down on easy so you don't have to worry about that and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah.
But
No, yeah. I'd say overall the gameplay, I think to me was what I'll tell you something. I don't know how much of this is true. You might know, but I was reading online that the Lies of P, excuse me, Lies of Felipe,
mhm.
the parry system is a lot more difficult than it is in a Souls like Demon
It's
Souls, Dark Souls, Elden Ring.
so the thing I've often seen people compare Lies of P2
Hmm.
is Sekiro,
Yeah,
which is also from software, but it's not
yeah.
a soul. It's like it's a Souls like game, but it's not
Hmm.
in the same way that Souls like games are. I don't know how to explain it. Like
Yeah.
every like people
Yeah.
always I've seen people go, "Oh, Sekiro is different from the Souls like." I'm like, whatever. It seems like it's all the same to me. But it's the Lies of P, from what I understand, is more like Sekiro than it really is like
Gotcha.
Elden Ring or Dark Souls. So in
Ah,
that
okay.
regard, with like parry, because like parry is a big thing in Sekiro. Like you
Yeah.
really need to parry. Like unlike Elden Ring or Dark Souls, Demon Souls, you
Yeah.
can just like roll away and dodge. Like you can just spam
Yeah.
roll. You can't really do that in Sekiro, from what I understand. But
Yeah.
it's not a game I'm ever gonna play. So
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, because there are a lot of times, I'm not gonna lie to you, I will say that there are times depending on your build where this game can feel very easy, and like the bosses, what I enjoyed about this a lot, which this might have helped me a lot with like the boss fights, is you can do that whole star fragment thing with kind of like how
yeah,
you do with Demon Souls and stuff like that, where you have a more powerful version of you with like a very rare weapon, and they help you fight.
yeah.
Because that saved me so many times,
Yeah, the
and like
what is
it
it
helped me
called?
so many times. It's a Spectre, the
Spectre.
Spectre.
Yeah, yeah. I was about
Yeah,
to say Ghost, but
and
that's not that wasn't right. But they look ghostly
and
almost. So
yeah, exactly. And so that helped out a lot and made the game a lot less difficult with certain boss fights. Where
yeah.
sometimes I would fight and then the Spectre would help out, and it almost felt like I'm like, wow, this feels like easy mode with these boss fights sometimes.
Hmm.
But that
Well,
helped a
now you
lot.
got to play without them. Now you got to go through and play without them.
No. I because what I wanted to say, saying that I think that having that actually was a saving grace for the game for me, because
Hmm.
if I didn't have that, I'm not gonna lie to you, I probably wouldn't have made it as far as I did.
Yeah.
Um,
Even with
and
that, I
like
was
I
just
think,
still not vibing with me. So
and so I enjoyed it overall with that like aspect, but I think I can't remember what I was about to say. I think the combat can be interesting, and I will say, yeah, if you don't like Souls like game, man, sometimes you'll even find yourself roaming the world, and sometimes even like a normal monster, because of their, I guess you would call it like their combo that they do, it drains more than half your health. And
yeah, it can
like you're
kill you
just
with
like
like one hit and stuff, and you're just like,
you're
and
just like
that's the problem that's in Elden Ring too. That's in Demon Souls
yeah,
and Dark Souls too. I'm just like, I don't fucking hell, man. This is again, this is
yeah,
I just don't enjoy it. So, man,
yeah.
it's
And then
fine,
I want,
whatever. Just be on your toes
yeah,
at
I
all
wanted
times.
exactly, and I wanted to speak on something else as well that I remember that I wish I would have known about beforehand. For those who maybe are, this is something that might be regular in a Souls like game or anything, but excuse me, when you do a boss fight and you beat the boss, you get a very rare ergo.
Hmm.
I did
Yep.
not know that that rare ergo buys you very rare weapons. I just assumed that all ergo, you can just sell it to get ergo to spend on points, which you can do,
Yeah.
but
So
it
you weren't
wasn't
saving it or
until
anything. You were just selling it to the
no,
vendors.
not yeah, I was just selling it to the vendors initially, and it wasn't until I met the
uh,
Aladani, or
uh-huh.
what's his name? And
The
he was in
dog, the
the
dog guy,
dog, yeah, the
wolf
dog
dude.
guy, yeah. And I met
Yeah.
him, and he was like, "Oh, I have the very rare weapons." And then he looks, and you're like, "You got to have the rare ergo to buy this weapon." And what sucks is that you can't get any more of that rare ergo. Once you spend it or
Yeah.
sell it,
Once
that's
it's
it.
gone, it's
It's
gone.
done. You're like, I was
Did
like,
you
no.
restart or did you just keep going?
No, I kept going, and then
Mm.
from that point on, I realized like, oh, I have to save the rare ergo that I get, and so
Mm-hmm.
then whatever remaining weapons that I wanted to get, I would just, after a boss fight, I would just save it and then spend it on a rare weapon or something.
Mm-hmm.
Which some of them are cool, they're real cool, but I couldn't get the weapon that I did want, that I had read online about. People were like, you should get this one, and it's very powerful, blah blah blah. But I wish the game would have told me that sooner. I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah,
But
that's kind of the curse of like Liza P. Do. There's not really a tutorial. There's like messages that pop up that tell you that say, "Hey, you need to do this," and like occasionally you'll get a
yeah,
screen and stuff that says, "Do this." But like for the
yeah,
most part, it's like a lot of hands off, which is good and bad. It's a good and bad thing.
yeah,
Like it allows you to learn, but at the same time, it can feel like, oh, I need this was important information I should have had sooner, that I should have been
yeah,
told sooner, in some form of way, whether it's like in a conversation. In a way, it was in a conversation, but still, like at that point, it's like, well, I already sold all my shit.
yeah, exactly.
But like,
No, it's
yeah,
yeah. I was gonna say it's very interesting because this game does, like, yeah, it doesn't provide a tutorial, and what I don't like is that most of the time when those little information screen comes up to let you
mhm,
know of something,
yeah,
they don't tell you about something till after the fact.
yeah,
They're like, you know, you could be like, what is it? Oh, like you could, for example, like you could spend the rare, I could spend the rare ergo, and it won't tell me after the fact. Like, oh, did you know that you could save this for a rare weapon? I'm like,
yeah,
why didn't you tell me that before? Or like with
yeah,
certain like boss fights or certain effects that your character can get, like, you know, like disruption, corruption, or whatever,
yeah.
and it doesn't tell you after the fact until you die from it. They're like, just to let you know, this is why this happens. And I'm like, you could have said that before. Like,
Yeah, you could have told me before, so I could have actually prepared. Um, yeah,
exactly.
that's the curse. I have a question for you, Al.
Uh-huh.
Since you're like farther along, and I'm curious about this,
Hmm.
how do you feel about the lies truth mechanic? Have you like dived too deep into that? Because you know there's like multiple different endings depending
Yeah.
on how much you're lying, how much you're telling the truth and stuff. So I'm
Yeah.
curious: are you a lying? Are you making Felipe lie? Are you being an asshole?
No, you know what's interesting? So I'll say this first. Now through my gameplay, I didn't, well, I did lie a little bit to certain like people. Like there's this I forgot his name in the hotel, the puppet in the hotel that is
Mhm.
in, well, you learn this later. He's in love with Antonia. He's like Antonia's puppet.
Yeah, yeah.
And he kind of asks, he's like, is this even possible? Can a puppet love a human? Is that even a thing? And it gives you the choice of like, yeah, of course, I've seen it happen, or you can say, no, that's not possible. And it's like it is difficult because you're like, damn, man, because you almost feel like, well, is this puppet alive? Because he can kind of feel like love, or should I just lie to this puppet? But sometimes, well, to him, I said no, it's possible because I had met some guy who was in love with a puppet or whatever in some side little mission or whatever. But
Mhm.
anyway, um,
Should have crushed his
in those
dreams. Should have just been like, listen, get the fuck over it, bro.
sorry, just get over it, bro. You can't feel it. But sometimes some of that, like the decision making that you made in like telling the truth or lying, um,
Mhm.
it almost felt like sometimes the lying was more human than telling the truth, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
There was
it
actually,
was
I
just
said you're being an asshole, but like the lying was actually kind of good in a lot of ways. Like
yeah.
because you're lying. Like there's one point where a woman's like, "Isn't my baby adorable?" And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
and I was like, "Yeah, it's adorable," or "No, that's a fucking puppet."
yeah,
and
exactly.
and so it's like this woman, this human woman, was so convinced that this her baby was beautiful and stuff, and like it's like,
Yeah,
well, do I crush this woman's dreams, who's clearly so like the trauma of everything that's happening has
uh-huh.
warped her mind and stuff? Like, do I want to crush? Do I want to worsen it and stuff? Like, in a lot of ways, it's like a moral dilemma in a lot of ways. I think that is
Yeah,
a
yeah,
really cool aspect.
yeah.
Um, I'm not going to spoil anything for you because I've already like read the endings and stuff.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha.
I can't say
Uh,
anything, but there's
no,
like
you're good.
it doesn't it almost doesn't matter in my opinion, other than it just like
You,
giving you a certain set ending is all I'm gonna say
you
about that.
and you know what's funny about that with playing through this game, there was a lot of times where I kind of actually didn't even come to a point where like you had to, you know, tell the truth or lie or anything. It wasn't until it felt like for me the middle of the game that
Mhm.
because that woman about the baby, I know of it, but I never came across that woman,
Oh
and like I
really?
just missed it completely. And so a part of me was like, is this even important? Like, it is even important to
Honestly,
like. It
no.
didn't feel like it.
Honestly,
Yeah,
no.
and
Like
I cause
if
yeah,
from what I've read and like just like even like it doesn't really affect the world at all either if you're telling them the truth
that's
or
what I
as
yeah.
you're lying, like as you're going about the game, like it doesn't really affect the world at all, and other than giving you a certain ending at the end of the game. So
Gotcha,
um yeah, from what I've read and stuff, and like again, I'm never going to complete this game, so I went ahead and spoiled it for myself.
gotcha.
And yeah, I was like,
That makes
not a
sense.
surprise to me, but
I will say that yeah, it kind of felt like the game the way that it tried to kind of hang on to that of like, ooh, you can lie or tell the truth, but it for me it just didn't feel important enough to affect the world. It just didn't feel like a big part of the game.
yeah.
Like it kind of felt like the way that they maybe excuse me, that the way that they kind of showed it off almost was like
Mhm.
it's gonna matter whether or not you tell the truth,
And it
you know,
doesn't.
and if yeah, exactly. And
And
like
another
yeah.
thing too, like it doesn't really seem to affect the characters at all either. Like in any
Exactly. Yeah.
significant way. Like, you know, you tell them, "Oh no, you can't. No, your baby's ugly." You never see that lady again. Like
Mhm.
it's like whatever, dude. So it's like
Exactly.
these characters, a lot of the characters. There's, I mean, obviously, there are some lies and truths that you do with the core characters that you meet at the Hotel Krat and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
like even then, they don't seem to care if you're telling them the truth or you're lying to them at all. So it's
Yeah.
like I don't know. Like it's a
It
cool
yeah.
idea. It's like a cool mechanic, but like
Mhm.
I think it's more or less, oh, since this is a story about Pinocchio, we should have this idea of lies in here,
Exactly.
you know? So,
It's yeah, it's very interesting. It kind of felt it feels like a good idea. Maybe they could have expanded on a little bit more, or
yeah.
like had something recurring happen. Like yeah, because like the characters, like Geppetto, Sophia, Antonia, all these other people, they don't care if you lie. Like they
Yeah,
don't. They're just like, oh,
they're
you
gonna
lied. Okay. Anyway.
they're gonna treat you the same no matter what. And
Exactly. It'd be different if like that had an effect on maybe how they looked at you and stuff. I
mm,
will say one more thing before we get to the end of this that made me laugh a little bit because I thought it was going to have a bigger role, and maybe this will in the story as I continue to finish it.
mhm.
But there's a point where you play Lies of P, and like as Pinocchio, or excuse me, Felipe, as you are, you kind of look very young, but then there comes a point where your hair grows, something changes about you, and then Geppetto looks at you and he goes, "Oh, I didn't think this was gonna happen. I don't know what to expect." And then it's never talked about again. It's never talked about like, "Huh, you're growing. I don't know what to think." And then that's
Yeah.
it. It's just like it just stops. And I was just like, so is he becoming more human? What's happening? What are we doing? Like, why did this game just stop me right here to kind of recognize this?
Yeah.
What's going on? But maybe this might be something for the end. So that's why I'm
Maybe.
saying maybe I just haven't reached that point.
Maybe. I don't know. I've told you all I'm
And
going to
so,
tell you spoiler wise. So yeah,
okay.
like,
But
um, did I have any other questions? So when did you? So you've missed a couple of lies and truths. Do any of like the
yeah.
truth and lies like stand out to you? Are there any moments where you just felt like, whew, I don't know what to do here, or was it just like you
Um,
kind of just brushed past it, like, yeah, whatever? Like, did you care at all while in those moments for like when you were presented the choice? Did you care at all?
yeah.
I guess that's my
The
ultimate question.
Yeah, the one that I remember the most is with the puppet in the hotel,
Hmm.
because the way I did like, even though it's a very robotic voice acting, I did like it because it did have some sort of like human feeling to it. Like the
Hmm.
puppet's like a robot, but it's struggling with this dilemma of like, can I love or whatever? And I was just like, when it brought up the thing of like he's asking the question and he's very it's what's crazy is like I was just like, where's the robot, or excuse me, the puppet? And then he's like, meet me in the garden near the hotel. And I'm like, why is he like, what's going on? And so you talk to him, and then just like him saying like how much he kind of like cares about Antonia and so on.
Hmm.
And then he's like, do you think this is possible? And a part of me is like, is this person human? Like this puppet becoming human? Because the
Hmm.
way that he's talking, it gives you that moment of whatever, however many seconds to lie to him or to be honest with them. And it's just like, oh, if I don't want to let this puppet down, like, I
Yeah.
don't want to say anything. That one stood out to me, and I was just like, oh, I feel like I'm gonna be a very bad person if I say no, it can't happen. And there was like one other one where this woman, it's like kind of like a side one. It's not really important. Where she wants like some wine from this gallery or whatever because she's like dying, and she's like, I
Hmm.
want one last taste of this thing. And like you give it to her, or I think she asks you like, can you do this or whatever, and it didn't feel as important. And so, really, the only ones that I remember is really the one from the hotel when he
Okay.
was like he feels like he's in love with Antonia,
Yeah. Okay.
and everything. And so that's it. But
Okay.
it didn't. Yeah, I felt like it could have had a bigger role in everything.
Yeah.
And oh, that does bring me to one last thing I wanted to mention, which it's cool, but it didn't feel as in. Well, no, I guess you could say it was a little bit, but I felt like I wanted more from the quartz thing, the quartz diagram thing. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where
Yeah.
with the heart,
Yeah.
where it's
Yeah.
like you can improve stuff like that. I felt like could have been done a little bit better, um because like most of the time you're focused on your ergo and your stats, but then
Yeah.
there's quartz that kind of help you with
With
like
different aspects. Yeah.
yeah. And I felt
The
like
yeah.
that could have been done a little bit better. It is cool, but like it kind of feel like it's just kind of like brushed aside at times where it's like, hey, you can do this, but it might help you,
Yeah.
but
Like, and
it's
like
kind
the
of
thing
like,
with
yeah.
that too is like you had to do specific things to get them and like find them in the
Mm-hmm.
world and stuff like that. So like there are rewards for
Yeah.
defeating certain enemies, or you find them in chests and stuff like that. So you have to like go out of your way to find them. So it's like
Exactly.
if you don't find them, it's easy to ignore them, type of deal.
Exactly.
And
But
it's not necessarily they're not necessarily hard to find, but it's
yeah,
just still like if you miss them, then you miss them.
it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But
So
because I think like I advanced and I thought that because when you first get introduced to it, I felt like, oh, this is important. I should
yeah.
look for these things. But then it's kind of like finding them. You have to really look for them, or like you occasionally can buy them from the shop at the hotel.
Yeah.
But besides that, they're like, that doesn't matter really. That's just
Yeah.
a kind of
It's a
a
way to like
side thing.
shape out your build a little bit more freely. It's like a
Yeah,
supportive almost in a way
yeah,
to support the build that you have and support the way your play style that you have more than anything.
exactly.
So Yeah.
exactly. But besides that, I guess let's go into final thoughts of on Lies of P. What any last remarks or anything overall do you want to say before we go into the ranking?
Um, it's a fine game. That's all I got. It's a fine game. It's not for me. I do appreciate it. There are some absolutely gorgeous moments in the game, like just like
Yeah,
from like just the atmosphere to the just like when you are looking out at certain things, like
yeah,
when you get pointed towards going to Hotel Crowd and like you're in like the lower
yeah,
city area and you look up at it, I was like, dude, that looks dope as hell. It's like it has
yeah,
like a gothic. I mean, yeah, there's like a gothic touch to it where I'm just like, this is cool as hell. Like going into certain areas and stuff, like the environments are just gorgeous. And again, I think that comes back to the art style. The art style for this game is amazing. I absolutely love it. So
yeah.
that is the one aspect that I do really like about this game. Um, so yeah,
Okay, nice. Well, my last final thoughts on this is I think that Lies of P is a really good game. Um, I don't know how many Souls-like games came out this year, but I think it's one of the best.
I can only think of
Um,
two: Wukong, whatever the hell
oh
that
yeah,
game, the whatever
Wukong
Wukong,
Fallen Dynasty.
yeah,
Yeah,
that one.
Wukong. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I think that uh, to
Pikmin.
reiterate what I said earlier,
Pikmin's
to reiterate what I said earlier, I think that Lies of P is a well done Souls like game that does something that I think um is better as far as like it's very linear and I like that a lot versus
Yeah,
like which I understand some people like the open world aspect and that's I understand that I think but for me I enjoyed that a whole lot more where I'm glad that I played this game because I think the world is very beautiful as well as Elden Ring the world's beautiful but I just think that I was drawn more to this just because of that linear aspect and being able to know okay like I'm just not out here roaming don't aimlessly and I think that they did a great job with this game.
hmm
Um, Besides the occasional Resident Evil 4 feeling that I got from the voice actors or the story, I think that it's really great. And overall, it's pretty good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time with it.
awesome. All right, then let's
Now,
go into our list. I will read these off. So for our list, we are we rank the list and all that jazz. Whatever. We
mhm.
rank these games. My list as it stands is my number one game right now is Starfield. Number two is Sea of Stars. Number three is Cocoon. Number four, Arcade Paradise. And number five, Amnesia the Bunka. And L has the exact same list that I do. Our overall list is the exact same thing of everything I just said. Nothing's changed. Um,
Okay.
so I'll go first with this. Normally I hand it
Yes.
off to you to go first, but um, I have to
I have
look
a
at my
feeling I
list.
know where this is going.
I have to look at this
I
list and go, do I like it more than Amnesia the Bunker? God, yes. Fuck
oh.
Amnesia the Bunker. I hate that game so much. This is genuine. This is a game that I actually hate. like I,
That's so funny.
I feel offended by playing Amnesia the Bunker. I don't care. I know people love this game. You guys are wrong. Get out from under your fucking rocks. Go play a real video game and then come back and
Oh
tell me that
gosh.
Amnesia the Bunker is actually good because you're a fucking idiot if you think it's good.
That's
Let me be
hilarious.
honest with you right now. I fucking actually hate that game. Do I like it more than Arcade Paradise? Yes. Yes, I do.
Okay, okay.
I do like it more than Arcade Paradise. Do I like it more than Cocoon? No, I do not like it more than Cocoon. So it's going at
Whoa.
number 4 on my list, Lies of P, right below Cocoon and above uh, Arcade Paradise. I forgot the name of that game for a second.
So, going through the list myself with Liza P, I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed the world that they created and they built. I think it has interesting aspects. When comparing it to Amnesia and to Arcade Paradise, I enjoyed it a whole lot more.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to Cocoon, then following Sea of Stars, this is where it gets a little tough because I go, Cocoon is a great world. It's very great. Um, but I'm actually going to put this at number 2 for me,
Oh, below Starfield?
below Starfield, because
Okay.
there are moments where, and this has nothing to do with the game. It's just because when it got later in the game, like in chapter 9, it got very difficult, and I got very upset, and I was like, "Why are these people so tough to beat?" but overall, I enjoyed it a lot more. This might be the only Souls-like game I ever put this high.
Yeah.
Of the games that I've done, just that we've played so far, because man, I just really like this world, the very steampunk like, goth like aspect of it, and I thought it was so cool. Sure, the story could have been stronger with like the villain, but I think that overall this game does a great job of like creating this world and capturing its essence of it. Whereas I think Cocoon is really cool, but I think what I missed out on Cocoon was it having more of a like an understandable story. And then Sea of Stars is a great game, but I think it's also something that was like just very straight, narrow on the narrow straight path. I mean, and it just was like, well, you know what's gonna happen. You know it's a very plug and play type of game. You can just go in and very simple. Whereas this added a little bit of the complexities that I enjoyed a lot. And sure, there's a lot of stuff that could have been better, but overall, I did have a great time with this game. And yeah, maybe they'll make some other rendition of some old story into a Souls-like game or something.
Red Riding Hood.
Whoa, there you go. See, Studio 8 and Neowitz, whatever. I forgot what it. Do that.
Yeah. All right. So our overall rankings right now: number 1, Starfield. Number 2, by 1 point, Sea of Stars.
Wow.
Number 3, Lies of P. Number 4, Cocoon. Number 5, Arcade Paradise. And number 6 doesn't even matter. So I'm no longer going to say that game out loud. That's so how much it offends me.
So then before we end the pod, do you want to let everybody know the next games we're playing?
The next 2 games we're playing, we're going to be playing Rollerdrome, because it came on to Game Pass, and it's fucking amazing. It's amazing. There's also one more game that I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
Because I'm having a blast playing it, and I just like, what? I want an L to play this game. We'll do it off stream though. And then the other one, so it's Rollerdrome, and then Steam World Build, right?
Steam World Build. I think that's what it is.
That's the full name, right? Steam World Build, or because I wanted to say Steam World Dig, and I was like, no, that's the normal game. That's the platforming game. But Steam World Build, the city builder game. Dude, that game's so charming. I'm just gonna say that out right now. But those will be coming. Rollerdrome review and Steam World Build will be hitting hard in January.
Yep.
So be on the lookout for that. And then I think we're gonna be skipping February because I'm moving, Ella's moving, and so there's a lot of moving happening for February. So we're gonna probably skip February and possibly March as well, just depending on how busy we both are. So
exactly.
Just be aware of that. But for January, we are gonna have 2 games: Rollerdrome and Steam World Build. Elle, take it away. It's all you know.
Everybody, thanks for watching this edition of Review Please Video Game Edition, where today we reviewed Lies of P. As we said at the beginning, all these games that we review are available on Xbox Game Pass, so if you want to play along, go ahead. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube here at Respawn Please Podcast. You can look us up, type it in, we'll pop up. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon to be notified of future videos, as well as follow us on social media on Instagram and TikTok at Respawn Please Podcast. And make sure to follow our video game podcast, which is just Respawn Please Podcast, available everywhere on this channel, as well as the audio versions everywhere you get podcasts. And we'll catch you next month.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bitches.